Good morning, everybody. We will give some extra minutes for the people who are joining. Good morning, everybody. We will give some extra minutes for the people who are joining. Okay, I think we can get started. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We are excited to have you here in this webinar. Just a little housekeeping before we get started. This webinar is being recorded and it will be available upon the request. For those who may don't know me, my name is Melania Lopez Videla. I am the Commercial Director at Mon Group. I'm glad to be here today to speak about an interesting topic in the mining industry, the soft landing for your companies. We all know the impact that suppliers have in the Peruvian mining sector. From small local businesses to large corporations, everyone plays a vital role in the development and sustainability of this industry. Today, we are going to explore how you can expand your business in this market. But first, who we are. Mon Group is an international consulting and legal firm with our own offices in all Latin American countries, including Canada and the USA, except for Venezuela and Central America. We offer a wide range of services focused on different industries. Mon Group has more than 40 years in the market with the only purpose to find the best solutions for you to expand your businesses. In other words, we take you by the hand in all the processes and you can focus on the core business, on the core of your business. So Mon Group offers legal services. We have lawyers specialized in the main areas of the economy: natural resources, national and international trade and investment, mining, environmental, water rights, tax, migration, labor, among other ones. Then we also offer the hosting services, or international call corporate services that includes legal representation, register address, accounting services, and other on-demand services such as trademark registration services, back office, payroll, among other ones. Well, I would like to start asking why Peru and why Softland in this country as a mining supplier? Mining is a productive activity of great importance for Peru, and it has been one of the engines of the country's growth. It is the activity that contributes the most to the GDP of the country. It represents 9% of the GDP, and in case of the mineral exports, it represents almost the 64%. Now, talking about the whole country, these are some important facts to be considered by business leaders interested in investing in Peru. And here you can see some numbers. Over the past few years, Peru has maintained economic stability, welcoming brand new players and businesses. Despite the pandemic, the country remains one of the most attractive markets for the new investors. Importance of the mining sector in Peru is mainly due to the long mining tradition that dates back to Inca times, but also due to commercial openness, the equal treatment given to investors, both national and foreign, and the diversified and resources potential. So much so, Peru has the largest silver reserves in the world and is the second largest producer of zinc and copper. And the Latin American level, it is the first country with reserves of silver, molybdenum, zinc, and gold. Well, from the importance of the mining in Peru, let's now take a look at the collaboration of suppliers in the development of this industry. Suppliers, as may you know, are those companies that provide essential services and products to mining, from the beginning with the exploration activities and later with the extraction and processing of minerals until the commercialization. Something that I thought was important to share with you today is that in a study of mining suppliers carried out in 2021 by the company SAMI, it mentioned that the purchases by mining company from suppliers is around $10 billion annually. It is important information for the topic that we are talking about today. So, what are these products with the greatest demand? These are electrical machinery, equipment, textile products, personal protective equipment, mechanical devices, etc. Now, within the companies that they offer equipment, most of them specialize mainly in manufacturing. You can see on your screens the 23%, and distribution 16%. While the 13% do not offer equipment and concentrate only on providing services. Companies specialized in equipment are mainly companies with more than 20 years in the market and concentrated in medium and large companies. The companies that offer services, these companies are mostly 13% maintenance, as well the companies that they offer services. And 10% are companies offering engineering services and another 10% services in the mine. You can see in the picture on your screen how the sectors and companies are divided in the industries. Maintenance, technological services, various service and consulting companies are mainly micro and small businesses. The micro companies and small businesses are represented in yellow as micro and small with blue color. Now, what are the keys to be selected as a supplier? Well, currently mining companies are focused on achieving sustainable mining, where responsible sourcing stands as the cornerstone of the sustainable business. Suppliers are expected to meet high quality, safety, and environmental standards. In this sense, they are looking for companies that satisfy the following requirements: technological innovation, optimization of process. So that is the profitable, but at the same time is ecological. Then we have compliance with labor standards. Suppliers are expected to respect all labor rights, guaranteeing the recognition and payment of benefits, as well as the provision of insurance, among other ones. Compliance programs. That is, the company has implemented compliant policies such as code of conduct, anti-bribery policies, complaint channels, and some other certifications. Social responsibility. It is essential that companies implement this practice, including respect for human rights and support for local communities. Respect to the environment. Responsible waste manager, site rehabilitation, and regulatory compliance are very essential. Monitoring and preventing pollution ensures that operations minimize their environmental impact. But last but not least, we have risk management. Mining companies seek to collaborate with suppliers that have a management system capable of identifying risk. This involves considering different types of risk, assessing their impact, maintaining up-to-date work policies, and procedures to manage the risk. Well, the supplier registration process. Mining companies usually have a list of suppliers with whom they consult prices, quality, purchasing conditions, after-sales services, and other services with their companies that they are already in their database. Registration is an integral tool that helps manage the supply chain, mitigate risk, comply with regulatory requirements, and promote operational efficiency and transparency in business relationships. Something very important to take into account is that in Peru, the government does not have a register of mining suppliers. However, there is a directory of Peruvian companies that request suppliers. So each mining company has its own registration policy. So you as a owner of company who wants to do business in Peru must verify the information directly with the mining company if you want to be their supplier. A couple of weeks ago, we have a webinar and I explained about this process and how you can register. So you can reach to me by email. I can send you the recording of that webinar. In the group of mining suppliers, there are contracting companies, which are those with functional autonomy and their own assets, carry out exploration, development, exploitation, and benefit activities. These companies must be registered with the Ministry of Energy and Mines of Peru to be able to carry out these activities. Well, which ones are not required to register before the ministry? Here is the list of the companies that don't need the registration. As I said, we will be able to share this presentation so you can take a look on this list in detail. Activities related to mining activity do not require registration. And for example, you can see in the list is medical services, security services, or hotel services, etc. Well, the registration for mining contractor company is quite simple. First, an application is submitted to the Ministry of Energy and Mines, demonstrating that there is subscribe and pay share capital for an amount of not less than 131,000 US dollars. Among the requested documents are the electronic record of registration of public records. The evaluation of these requests lasts around, let's say, 30 days, and with approval of the supplier company, enters the database and may be supplier of a mining company. An important fact is that this registration does not have an expiration date unless the regulations change. To request registration before the registry, the company must have a representative who has faculties registered with Peru's register office. They must also have sufficient capacity to tender and enter to the agreements. Okay, let's talk now about the foreign investment incentive. And then under the Peruvian law, both foreign and local investors have the same rights. This is called national treatment. No authority can treat investors directly based on nationality, economic activity, or location within the country. This means they can't change prices, exchange rates, tariffs, or business rules based on these factors. In most cases, foreign investors don't need special approval from the government. Exceptions include investments in weapons, private security, maritime or air transportation, and those near to Peru's borders or in a protected natural areas. These are the exceptions. Foreigners can freely buy shares from local investors, either through the stock market or directly. Investors can set up and run their business in any legal form. The Private Investment Promotion Agency helps promote private investment in Peru. It works on policies for investing in infrastructure and public services, guide investors, signs legal agreements, and registers foreign investments. Regional governments also support private investment within their areas. The currency in Peru is the sol, and is one of the most stable currency in the region. Something to be noted is that Peru has 22 free trade agreements and 8 agreements to avoid the double taxation. Okay, going to the corporate considerations. In Peru, there are not specific rules about how much foreign or domestic investment is allowed. However, the Peruvian Companies Act sets some requirements for starting a corporation or partnership. According to this act, every corporation or partnership must have at least 2 shareholders or partners. This rule does not apply for branches, as there are only links to their main office. Shareholders, directors, and managers don't need to be Peruvian nationals or residents. However, representatives dealing with the tax authority of the legal representatives must be Peruvian or have a foreign residence card. Additional, all new directors must officially accept the role to register with the Peruvian Public Registry. Also, when incorporating a company in Peru, it is required for the enterprise to have capital stock, which must be deposited in a bank account before the incorporation of the company. It should be noted that some banks and financial entities usually request a minimum amount for opening a bank account, which could be 1,000 soles, that is around $300. In terms of shares, the shares are nominative and different classes are allowed. However, all the shares must have the same face value, which cannot be zero. In addition, shares can be issued once they have been fully described and paid up at least in 25%. Depending on the shares classes, shares can be issued with or without voting rights or even have a preferential right for obtaining dividends. By laws, the company may establish share classes, limitation and condition on transfer of shares, but may not prohibit them. Okay, the rules for dividends distribution are: 1. Dividends are only to be paid based on profits or free reserves and provided the company's net worth is not lower than the paid-up share capital. Then, distribution of dividends in advance is valid, except for corporations that have an explicit legal provisions. Now I'll talk about three main types of corporations. The first one is the private corporation. The contributions to capital are represented by shares, and liability is limited to the amount of the contribution. Must have a board of directors and a general manager. Closed corporation, that is in the second column on the screen, is with the letters SAC. This is the most recommended type of corporation. No more than 20 shareholders are allowed. Its shares are not listed on the stock exchange, and the transfer of shares is subject to restrictions. The board of directors is optional, but the corporation must have a general manager. The other one, very common, is the limited liability companies, which requires a minimum of 2 and maximum of 20 partners. Limited liability companies neither use shares nor have a board of directors. The procedures for incorporating are the same as for ordinary corporations. The rights of first refusal is mandatory for this type of company. Mining contractors are required to have a minimum full subscribed and paid capital of 100 Peruvian tax units, which is around 121,000 US. Okay, let's talk about taxes. Peru has double tax treaties currently in force with Brazil, Canada, Chile, Korea, Mexico, Portugal, Switzerland, Japan, and with members of countries of the Andean community such as Bolivia, Colombia, and Ecuador. Companies incorporated in Peru are treated as residents for tax purposes and must pay a corporate income tax rate of 29.5%. To determine tax income, these companies can deduct necessary expenses. However, certain deductions have specific requirements and limits, such as Rule 14 capitalization but the provisions, salaries, travel expenses, gifts, donations, and penalties. Since January 2019, the Peruvian income tax law includes a definition of accrual. Income and expenses are considered accrual when the main conditions of the operations are met. Second, the taxpayer has the right to collect the income. Third, the right is not subject to any conditions. And if the income depends on a future event, it is recognized when the event happens. The Peruvian income tax law allows various payments to be credited against the income tax, included income taxes paid on advance. Certain other taxes and foreign income taxes provided for the foreign tax rate is not higher than the Peruvian rate, and the income qualifies for foreign sources income. Dividends and profit distribution to non-residents and resident individuals are taxed at 5% when it is distributed, as you can see on your screen. Resident legal entities are not taxed on dividends from other Peruvian corporations. Additionally, companies face a 5% tax on any amount identified as indirect distribution of income during a tax audit, which is considered an attempt to evade tax control. The Peruvian value-add tax, or VAT, is the 18% and is applicable to the following activities: sales of goods, products in services, rendering or hiring in Peru, construction contracts, first sale or real estate by the builder, importation of goods. The VAT paid on the purchase of goods or services may be used as tax credit against the VAT, dividing for transactions performed by the company. They can also use the refund as credit against the VAT levied on its operation or against payment of income tax obligations. Here, I want to show you as a summary the tax rates and the due dates. For example, the corporate income tax, as I said, is the rate is 29.5, and the return due date and also the final payment due date is the first week of April. For the withholding tax rates, it could be different rates. Taxes are a complex issue. However, among group, we have specialists who can help you understand each case and advise you in the best way to get the best benefit. I will leave it to this table on your screen, but finally, I would like to say that the Peruvian mining industry is a very important market for mining suppliers, which is why it has attracted so much attention. Foreign companies will each need to choose how they will service the market. There are many considerations that companies will take into account when making that decision. Often, factors such as the type of solution being provided, size of contract, and other considerations will determine whether a physical presence is really needed. Once the decision has being made, it is important for companies to understand the incorporation process and the time frames to be operational. With the proper guidance, the process is relatively straightforward, but it's important to have a trusted partner who will show you how to do it correctly and efficiently. Here is the coordinates of our offices. You can contact me if you are in any English-speaking country at our office in Canada, or any other country that you want to do business with. Our office in Peru, you can reach me to the email montperu.com.pe, or our office in US. Thank you, and my coordinates are here. You can send me an email with your questions. I will be happy to forward your questions with the specialists depending on the topic. And thank you so much for joining us today. You will receive an email from me so we can continue the conversation. Have a good day. And yes, we can send the slides to everybody. Thank you.